There we go. People who play games, such as cards and board games, are more likely to stay mentally sharp in later life, a study suggests. Those who regularly played non-digital games scored better on memory and thinking tests in their 70s, the research found. What's a non-digital game? Yeah, a board game. Digital game. What's a digital game? Yeah, like a video game. Yeah. So how many of you play video games? Nobody? All right. I mean, it's okay to admit it. I used to. I don't play them as much anymore. But
I like playing Fortnite.
Fortnite? Okay. There's like League of Legends sounds intriguing to me.
This guy plays Overlord.
Overlord or Overwatch? Okay, I don't know what that is, but I've heard the name.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, this is about board games in general. Okay, so let's keep going. So the full story, I'm right here. People who play games such as cards and board games are more likely to stay mentally sharp in later life, a study suggests. Those who regularly played non-digital games scored better on memory and thinking tests in their 70s, the research found. The study also found that a behavior change in later life could still make a difference. So let's say you decide, I don't like games, but you get to be, say, my age. I actually have started playing more board games. I kind of find them more fun now as I get older. So it turns out that it might actually do just as good if I wait until I'm 54. Okay? People who increased game playing during their 70s were more likely to maintain certain thinking skills as they grew older. Psychologists at the University of Edinburgh tested more than 1,000 people aged 70 for memory, problem-solving, thinking, speed, and general thinking ability. The participants then repeated the same thinking tests every 3 years until aged 79. The group were also asked how often they played games like cards, chess, bingo, or crosswords at ages 70 and 76. Researchers used statistical models to analyze the relationship between a person's level of game playing and their thinking skills. The team took into account the results of an intelligence test that the participants sat when they were 11 years old. So this test has been going on since these 70-year-olds were 11. That's a really long time. So they took an intelligence test when they were younger than you. All right, that's interesting. They also considered lifestyle factors such as education, socioeconomic status, and activity levels. So, education. I'm assuming they checked to see how far they got into high school, college, things like that, right? What's socioeconomic? What do you guys think of that? What's that word? I think that's a really important word for you to know. Socioeconomic. Let's break it down. Socio. What's social?
Social is like talking.
Yeah, like talking, right? Or it could also be sociology, which is the study of groups of people, right? All right, so if I take a group of people that are in a higher economic class, do you think they tend to, do even more of those people go to college than less? What do you think? If they're in a higher economic class, like a social group, that's better well off. They have more money in their family.
Financially, they're pretty well off.
Yeah, they're pretty well off. Do you think they're going to be more likely to go to college? Yeah. All right. What about people in a social economic group that's maybe less well off?
No.
Yeah, probably not. So I think this is important to understand that there are people that are in higher socioeconomic classes that tend to have more time on their hands and play games sometimes, right? And then there are people in a lower socioeconomic level who are working just to make ends meet, don't have time to play games, and probably haven't been exposed to them as well. So, that's what this was looking at. So when they looked at this study of people who played games in their 70s, they also looked at whether or not they had better breaks in their life. Okay? And I think that's kind of important because I think some of you might be in that place where you may not have the opportunity to play games as much because you're working a lot.
Or you're having to take care of your brother or sister,
Yeah.
or your house more so. There might not be an adult at home who is taking care of the house. So more and more common these days.
You're right. It
You're
is.
able to take on more adult-like responsibilities.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this was taking into account. Okay? Let's see. And activity levels would be like how much they work out, how much they take care of themselves, maybe eat healthy, things like that. Okay. People who increased game playing in later years were found to have experienced less decline in thinking skills in their 70s. So that means they were able to think more clearly, complete more tasks, get more things done as they got older because they played games when they were younger. Particularly in memory function and thinking speed. So they thought faster, more on their feet. I notice as I get older, I have a lot of trouble kind of like organizing my thoughts and getting things done. And that could be something related to adult onset ADHD. I don't know. Researchers say the findings help to better understand what kinds of lifestyles and behaviors might be associated with better outcomes for cognitive health, that's brain health, later in life. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to find out what types of activities you should be doing throughout your life so that when you get older, your brain doesn't degrade to the point where you can't think anymore. Okay? Things like Alzheimer's, dementia. These are technically old people type diseases that they're trying to find ways that if you live differently in your life, will that stave it off? Will it keep it away from you as you get older?
You guys all know what dementia is?
Okay.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible. It's a terrible disease. Both of them. My grandma had it and my aunt has it, so.
Yeah.
Sucks not knowing your family.
Right, not knowing who your family is and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That's-
Does anybody know anybody who's got it? Yeah. Family member?
I mean, you can get to the point where
Yeah.
it's unsafe.
It's
from
sad.
home.
It's very terrible, right? Yeah. Who is it?
You can wander too.
Both of my grandmas, and probably some other of my family members, I forgot.
Okay. You
Which
forgot.
takes a toll on a family too. Like if you have someone in your house that has dementia,
It's
you're
okay.
probably taking care
Okay.
of them, not playing games.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like, so if you are living in a family, maybe it's more than just your nuclear family, where you can have grandparents living with you, maybe an aunt or uncle or something.
Mm-hmm.
You could be taking on some other things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's very common.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Like my mom and dad just went to live with my brother and sister, my
There you go.
brother-in-law and sister, and they're both doing fine right now. But there's going to be a point where they're going to be probably taking care of them. Yeah,
That's tough.
yeah. All right, I'm on the next page. The study may also help people make decisions about how best to protect their thinking skills as they age. And so I think that's kind of what we're talking about here. It's like, can board games help us to keep our memory longer? It's possible. Dr. Drew Atschol of the University of Edinburgh School of Philosophy, Psychology, and Language Sciences said, these findings add to evidence that being more engaged in activities during the life course might be associated with better thinking skills in later life. For those in their 70s or beyond, another message seems to be that playing non-digital games may be a positive behavior in terms of reducing cognitive decline. So reducing your brain's declining as you get older. Okay?
Sometimes I wonder why a lot of older people do crossword puzzles and
Oh, yeah.
more sometimes it's just to kind of keep the
Yeah.
brain kind of activated, you know.
Uh-huh.
You do tend to see older people tend to, like, you know, buying crossword.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My father-in-law he likes Sudoku.
Sudoku.
And I hate it. It's a hard game. But he also is a science-minded person, so I always see him reading books on physics. And he's funny. He's like, I'll read until I don't understand it, and I'll put a bookmark in it and put it back on the shelf, and I'll come back to it later. But he'll come and talk to me about stuff like that. So I just think board games, yeah, anything you can do to keep your brain active. And part of it is non-digital. They're finding out non-digital is super important. And it's funny that we put you in front of computers from like the time you get to school
Right.
and then so finding ways, like for example, I could read books on my tablet, but I've been trying to find the books in print so that I sit and read a book in print. It's a little more work. I fall asleep a lot more, but I like it. I like reading books. All right, so here's this other professor. He's just some director of the university. He says, we and others are narrowing down the sorts of activities that might help to keep people sharp in older age. In our Lothian example, I'm not sure what that was. Guys, you with me? Yeah? I'm not sure what the Lothian example was. I don't remember reading that before. So, it's the birth, okay. I forgot that's at the end. So in this article, remember I said these kids they've been watching these people since they were 11 years old? That's the Lothian experiment, and they've been doing this since they were born in the 1940s. So this is one of the longest brain studies ever. So that's what he's talking about here. He's talking about in this example, it's not just general intellectual and social activity, it seems. It is something in this group of games that has this small but detectable association with better cognitive aging. It'd be good to find out if some of these games are more potent than others. We also point out that several other things are related to better cognitive aging, such as being physically fit and not smoking. Yeah, Jack looks up like, come on, Jack. You did, I saw that. But no, guys, listen. I was your age too. My parents were smokers, and I tried smoking myself. I was never good at it, which is probably good.
How do you be good at it?
You know what? Some people are. Because you can just like get into it. I didn't get into it. It just killed me. But because my parents smoked, I was a smoker. And when they quit, I had to quit too. Because I was smoking the air that they were blowing out. But the point is that smoking is another one of those things. And also physical fitness, like getting active. And I've read so many studies that tell you that physical fitness, cognitive brain activities, and non-smoking, and then throw in there eating right. Those four things are the things that are going to help you live longer. So in this study, they're trying to show that those things are also related, but they're also interested in what kinds of games. Is it just crossword puzzles? Is it chess? Is it playing Monopoly? So what kinds of games are going to help? All right? So this other person, who's the charity director at Age UK, said, even though some people's thinking skills can decline as we get older, this research is further evidence that it doesn't have to be inevitable. The connection between playing board games and other non-digital games later in life and sharper thinking and memory skills adds to what we know about the steps we can take to protect our cognitive health, including not drinking excess alcohol, being active, and eating a healthy diet. The participants were part of the Lothian Birth Cohort 1936 study, a group of individuals who were born in 1936 and took part in the Scottish Mental Health Survey of 1947. So that's when they were 11 years old in 1947. Interestingly enough, that's the year my parents were born. Since 1999, researchers have been working with the Lothian birth cohorts to chart how a person's thinking power changes over their lifetime. The follow-up times in the cohorts are among the longest in the world. So this is a study that's been going on for a long time. All right, so what I want you to do, we just talked about a bunch of stuff. In the space below, Caesar, wake up. In the space below on the second page, I want you just to summarize your thinking right now. 2 to 3 sentences. What is your thinking about this study? Whatever you think. Nothing is wrong. What do you think about how board games help you to live longer? How board games keep your brain working longer? How smoking may not necessarily be something you think is going to be a problem. What are you thinking? What's your summary? Couple minutes.